So we got some World of Warcraft stuff. Siren Island preview. So I was reading the comments. I haven't watched the video, but I read the comments, and it's like, oh boy, another Mechagon. Or so. I don't know. Siren Island, Siren Isle preview. Here we go.
Hi, I am Kayla Brown, and I am a game producer on the WoW team. I'm here joined with a bunch of our talented developers in order to show you guys a little bit of a sneak peek into what we have lined up for our 1107 content update. One of the awesome features that we have coming in with 1107 is actually a brand new zone that we have named Siren Isle. Our design philosophy when creating this zone was to make sure that we made a very engaging outdoor endgame experience that would cater to a whole bunch of different playstyles and player types.
Siren Isle is a mysterious island located in a particularly stormy part of the ocean. During the Fourth War, it was used by the Kultirans to mine azurite, and then everybody mysteriously disappeared. Recently, the island has sent out a massive pulse of energy, and everything heard it. And your allies are mounting an expedition to this island to find out what happened and investigate.
Players arrive in Dornegal to meet up with the goblin Skagit, which is Gazlo's assistant. And we find that the Earthen and the Arathi have already made it to the island, so naturally Skagit's ready to go. He's like, get on the Zeppelin, let's go, it's time for adventure. So what's fun about the Siren Isle is when players arrive, we see signs that Kultirans have been here before, but there seems to be nobody around, which is really interesting. We see all these buildings and structures, but by the time the expedition gets there, it's empty. It's one of those fun little mysteries, we hope. So on this island, players are going to have a wealth of enemies to encounter. We actually have 3 separate groups. So we have the Bloodwake Vrykul, we have the Naga, and then we have a bunch of pirates. These groups will be rotating around on the island, so players won't encounter the same group week to week. Also, players will encounter a large crystal in the center of the island that seems to sing gently or hum, which has attracted the attention of both the Arathi and the Earthen. So our friends on the island, they're all here for different reasons, which is really exciting. The Earthen and the Arathi are here to study the crystal, and, you know, the goblins are interested in what the crystal can do, right? And so they're a really fun cast of people to have because they're so different, but it's also fun to have them all together here because their differences actually might be more complementary than we think.
Siren Isle, being in a particularly stormy part of the ocean, is regularly lashed by horrible tempests. During these storms, powerful creatures of all kinds come up out of the ocean and assault the island. Players can defend their allies to go into the storm. In order to do this, their allies have provided them with vehicles and weapons and other tools that they can use to take on these much more powerful enemies. There's all these crazy powerful enemies that show up, and you get to use these tools. For example, my favorite is the crawler mines. You can grab them, target one of the big nasties, and just have the bomb run up to it and explode. Boom. There's 3 caves on the island that are sealed up. Each of these caves has a deadly enemy inside. Players will be able to chip in, and you can donate to their excavations. And each of the factions, the Earthen, the Goblin, and the Arathi, have a different cave on the island, and players can donate to get the events to open.
Get your feet moving. We got a tunnel to blast open.
Circe Circlet is a mysterious ring that once belonged to a mythical, legendary siren named Circe. It's a very powerful item that'll give you an edge, especially on the Siren Isle. And as weeks unfold, you'll be able to unlock more gems, more powers associated with Siren Isle and the ring. So this is actually a model of Circe Circlet that you'll be able to see in game. One of our artists, Brittany Reinhardt, was able to throw it together, and you can see, like, even in game, you'll be able to see it on your character, which is, I thought it was pretty cool. You'll be able to interact with a lot of different pieces of content using this ring. It'll be fairly strong, and it'll have 3 different sockets. Each one is a different type, and you'll be able to collect a myriad of different gems that fit into these sockets, all of which do different things. Even in the current season, they'll be fairly strong, and in the next season, they'll kind of be strong enough to give you a leadway to the new content coming up. There's a slew of really cool mounts, a bunch of different transmog appearances, some of which are unused from past years that are really exciting to finally get into the players' hands. They've seen it in the files long enough.
First thing is we look for a lot of reference to make sure that we're making something believable, something that seems like it's grounded in nature's rules enough so that when players look at it, there's nothing that's just like totally breaks their immersion. The aesthetic is really interesting. It's kind of inspired in some ways by the American Southwest. Like I was looking at some references of Arizona and stuff, the elements of those cliffs there. And so those are some of the things that we'll do to bring the world to life. We have
Wow. Didn't even notice. Yeah, sorry. Coughing fit. Had some salt and vinegar chips, and it wasn't the vinegar. It's just sometimes the salt and vinegar ones have just too much salt. So I'm sitting here talking, and as I'm talking, some of that salt was kind of, you know, messing me up. But anyway.
filled this thing with a lot of secrets, even more than in some of our previous full zone maps, because it's smaller, it's denser, so I'm excited to see if people can find all the crazy stuff that we did. I put in this little spooky spot back here. The quest designers wanted like an atmospheric kind of creepy spot, so I put like lots of animal bones have kind of been washing up in here. Another thing that's cool too is all these little like caves and micros that we added in. Each one kind of has its own crazy theme. Like over here they'll spawn in this like crazy dragon that's gonna get spawned in from all these bones that have been collected and stuff. So that's kind of like the pinnacle of this like little creepy pocket over here. And this used to be like an azurite mine over here in the center, so there's like elements of what happened here, but then you can tell something bad happened. And there's also this really cool stuff that was put up in the ridges of the mountains, and one of the things I helped out with doing was like making a lot of this space playable. So instead of just being limited to a flat 2D plane, we can put stuff on top of that 2D plane, and then you get new gameplay experiences, new vantage points, like this big mine track that goes above everything. We definitely do a lot of play testing and soup testing amongst ourselves, and that really helps too. I'm not just kind of designing stuff in my corner that will like get people to actually run through it, and I'll get opinions from people who haven't been building it to see like where do they get lost, where are the pain points here, and that's a process we don't just go through for this, we go through it for all the spaces we design in our game. And again, we'll also look back at previous examples of what did players like from previous zones, what did they not like. We try to learn from our past mistakes and learn from our past successes and bring that forward into our new stuff.
One of my favorite little Easter eggs, because there are plenty on this isle, there are plenty of Easter eggs and secrets for people to look forward to. One of my favorites personally is the bestiary, actually, all the creatures that are native to the island. One of the things that I took a lot of inspiration from was actually Darwin's finches on the Galapagos, and that essentially states that there are all of these finches that are very closely related, but on different islands their beaks have become different, right? So they have adapted to do different things and eat different things. So I took that concept and I put it on the Siren Isle. It's like, we have this isle. What are all the creatures that have come here? How has the island been affected over time? Like, all of the creatures are intentional, and it's a fun Easter egg that I don't think people would look for, but I hope that they'll enjoy uncovering the secret of the history of the isle through the creatures as well.
Thank you all so much for joining us here today. Our team had a blast in creating and bringing to life Siren Isle, and we really hope that you have just as much fun exploring it as the team did in creating it. Wanted to thank you all again, and we really hope to see you all in the Siren Isle.
She said she hopes we have a blast, and then you see the Hydra blasting. That the whole bird thing, that is pretty cool. I mean, it is true. You know, Darwin saw that, you know, same kind of species will evolve in different ways to adapt to certain situations. You know, if you find birds that are only able to get food from very like small, narrow places, you'll find that they'll have longer, narrower beaks to allow them to peck into wherever they need to get whatever they need. If they're needing to, you know, crunch shells and stuff, you'll have the bigger, thicker beak and stuff like that for the, you know, so that way they can, you know, peck at and chip away and crush and all that. So that's pretty cool, having an area that shows like all these different locations but different forms of birds and where was it? Yeah, that's just adorable. The little babies. They're little babies. But I think I'm probably just more interested more about the lore about the place because I love the lore of the game. It looks interesting. I mean, if you want the island to be successful, just take what you did with Timeless Isle and just do that here. I mean, Timeless Isle still is probably the best little, you know, addition to the game that they've done. Um, Mechagon was, eh, I mean, it was cool-ish, having a mega dungeon there, but, it got boring real fast. It got boring real fast. But people like going around finding rares and collecting treasure and, so do stuff like that. With the finding treasure and collecting treasure and killing rares, little events that go on, bosses, world bosses, well, not bosses, but like like mini boss type things. But then you'll have like that one big world boss that spawns in every week. Pet battles and just fun stuff to do. But yeah, that's Siren Isle. And we get a legendary apparently, which for me legendaries have kind of lost their appeal. So, I mean it kind of sounds like it's like the what was it? The Onyx ring or whatever it was from the the vault in Dragonflight. You get the ring and then you get like the 3 slots and you can have 3 of them do something different. So it kind of sounds like that, but legendary ring. So it's cool, I guess. But yeah, it looks diverse enough. When those storms happen, I want an island, like I want it to rain. I want them to bring back actual weather and just like have this place just start pouring out of nowhere. Just you're running around and out of nowhere, just boom. It's not a timed event. No, you just boom starts pouring on you. Yeah, these things were like on Mechagon, where you contribute and then you get a boss, the little boss that comes out, and normally you had to do the same thing. You had to contribute, and then you kind of had to wait to defeat everything that's trying to come and get you, and then once you got inside, you were able to beat whatever was in there, and stuff like that. And when that was on Mechagon. But I mean, it's a pretty cool idea.
And there's also
Especially when it comes to like the Azurite. I'm sure this big old piece right there has a meaning, and the piece that we see that's just kind of sticking out of the ground with the skeleton near it has purpose. And so can't wait to see what that is because I love the lore of the game. So I hope they didn't mess anything up or just give us some really boring story. But given the fact of how the game looks, the area with the Azurite, how it's all blackened. You see the Azurite right there, the piece right there, and everything else is blackened. It's safe to say there was an explosion. Maybe an explosion of light, like of holy energy or arcane energy, or since Azeroth, I think, is arcane, not light. But yeah, there was clearly an explosion. And that probably either sent people to another dimension or it just, exploded right there and burnt everything right here, and then anyone else on the island just kind of Thanos'd away. They just disintegrated. They're all like, I don't feel so good. But yeah, Siren Isle looks cool. Anyway, that's gonna do it for me. You guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.